Riley's friend. You go into her mind, and I think I'm her anger emotion for that moment. But the one for sure that I know is I am the referee for Riley's hockey game. It's that 28 Anderson tripping.
Welcome back to another actor behind the voice. Isaac Robinson Smith is the man of 1,000 voices, and another one of the main reasons I too am now a voiceover actor. He's the official voice of Black Panther for the Disney parks and beyond, been in multiple video games including Starfield, Spider-Man 2, and most recently you can date him as Telly the TV in Date Everything. But he is perhaps best known for portraying the iconic role of Bishop in X-Men 97. Isaac Robinson Smith, thank you so much for joining us, an actor behind the voice.
Yay! Thank you
Woo!
for having me. It's such a late hour for you, but a nice, comfortable afternoon time for me.
Yes, well,
This is really nice. Yeah,
absolutely. Currently, everyone I've interviewed has been a West Coaster in the
yeah,
States. So we'll see. Maybe at
yeah,
some point it'll be someone in the UK as well. But
yeah.
for right now, this is what it is.
Yes.
And but yes, I did like to point out that little mention in the beginning that you are definitely one of the key components of myself becoming a voiceover actor.
Really?
Yes, I don't know if you're aware or not. I don't know if you
Yeah.
knew or
I
you
don't know if
thought
I
that,
am.
but
I'm
no,
not aware of a lot of
you
things.
are,
So
because you
yeah,
were very supportive of it and you always let me pick your brain about everything that you were doing. And then you were the one who pointed me in the direction of Brian Nevsky at Disney
oh yeah,
Imagineering, and that's how I got Loki. And so it's definitely been, I mean, it was a mixed bag of a lot of different people, but you were
right.
definitely a key component in that. So first and foremost, I personally would like to say thank you.
Oh, of course. Yeah, yeah,
Because again, you're another one of those phenomenal actors who doesn't like pull the ladder up behind you.
yeah,
You're always
yeah.
willing to, let people know what you did and how you got. Speaking of, this is the perfect segue into how I always like to start these segments,
Yeah.
which is Isaac Robinson Smith. How did you get started in voiceover?
Well, it's funny. I feel like you and I have I think we've talked about this. You and I have a really similar background. I mean,
Hmm.
it was just imitating stuff as a kid and not really knowing that that was leading toward any significant career. It was just sort of like, oh, this is
This
great and weird
this is
and different.
fun.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't really understand the power of it until, the thing that really solidified a lot of my fun with it was being with my brother, honestly, because
Hmm.
which it's his birthday today, which is awesome.
Oh,
Uh,
well, happy birthday to
yeah.
your brother.
Yeah. And he and I would play, different scenarios out with shows that we loved, or like Star Wars episodes that we would make up, or like we loved Thomas the Tank Engine when we were kids, and so we would make up our own episodes of that. And just imitating voices that we heard, which is sort of something that was fun for us because it was a different way to express ourselves that we felt really comfortable with, and we had each other
Mm.
as our private audience. And so I was like, well, this is cool. I have this person to do this with. So I know that a lot of people in this business have talked about like having their own thing or like talking with, characters they made up or like having their own like singular experience by themselves. So I'm very fortunate that I had him to sort of be comfortable with. And then also my mom being a theater actor and teaching theater and being part of my life in a way that was very supportive of the creative arts. That was all good for fostering my interest in wanting to know more about that world. I mean, I didn't listen to any popular music growing up. I heard like vinyl from musical theater. That's what I was around most of the time. That plus a love of sound was my intro into it. I mean, and we've talked about how much we both love like movie scores and particularly
Hmm.
Danny Elfman and
Yeah.
but it was high school when I started to do imitations and I'm not sure when you started to do yours, but definitely high school for me was when it sort of like I was outed as this guy that did impressions and because somebody asked about something and I did one at lunch and it seemed to work and it seemed to have power and
Hmm.
then it was one of our favorite, if not our favorite animated show, The Simpsons, that episode of Inside the Actors Studio where they interviewed the casts. That's really where everything sort of came together as like, oh, it's a job that I can do. I had no idea that this was a career
Mm.
path. And so once that made sense, then I was like, oh, this everything that I've done up to this point, musical theater, performance, sounds, music, all that stuff, it all is one area. And so I was like, well, I have to pursue that. So starting in 2012 to now was like just all forward towards that with
Hmm.
theater along the way and everything. But yeah, it was really the Simpsons cast, and knowing that people did that and they had a work with it, and that it was a thing that I could viably do for a career. I was like, oh wow, I had no idea this thing that I did that just fun for me and my brother was an actual job.
And
That
then
sort of changed everything.
how did you take the first steps into your career then? Can you like
Um,
define a
yeah,
couple of moments or jobs?
yeah. Well, you mentioned him. Brian Efsky was the first real
Oh,
step. Yeah, I was in college and I went to a Disneyland had when I worked at Disneyland, they had a cast member. Actually, I want them to bring it back, but they had this thing called Cast Conservatory, which is a
they
program
did bring
for.
it back.
They did. Okay, good.
They
So it was
did.
Cast Conservatory, and Brian Nevsky, head of Imagineering
Yeah.
casting, had a class that I took, and it was also with someone you're familiar with. Pat Brady was also somebody to meet there,
Nice. Yeah.
and so I got to know the two of them as of that class. That was 2010, and I would say every like 2 or 3 weeks, I would email Brian and just be like, I'm really serious about doing this for a career. Like this is something I
Yeah.
want to do. I want to know more about how to get involved. And so he was really kind to me and said, keep in touch. I don't have anything like, most of the response would be keep in touch. I don't have anything right now, but
Yeah.
um, I can keep you in mind for stuff. And that sort of went on for a couple of years. And then in my final year of college-ish, it was like 2011, 2012, he said in an email, I was in Spanish class, and he sent an email that said, hey, I have a job for you for this thing we're doing at Epcot called Agent P's World Showcase Adventure. It's a thing where you take, at that time when there were no smartphones like prominently in the world, you
Yeah.
would check out a flip phone from the front of Epcot and take it around the World Showcase to different areas. And there were like hidden animatronics inside of the different countries. And you'd go on like this mission
Oh.
with Agent P, and there would be like videos on the phone you'd watch, and then hitting certain codes would activate the animatronic. So I was part of that. That was my very first professional voiceover job ever. And it was because of
Wow.
Brian. And kind of a cool full circle because my first job being Phineas and Ferb related to now I've done work with
Oh yeah.
in the Phineas and Ferb the next season
That's
and
right.
stuff
Yeah.
with Dan Povenmire and stuff. But yeah, so that was my very first thing, and then I continued to take classes and but my first venture, Disney is like the center of most of my stuff. So that was the genesis of like my professional career was that.
That's so
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, because we actually met at, doing theme park work, didn't we? Was it
Yes.
Universal Studios? We were
Yeah.
both tour guides.
Yes. What that was what year? Because I'm trying to remember when you came in.
I
Remember?
started in 2015 because
Okay.
episode 3 of the show was with Andrew Russell, and
Oh, okay.
we started the same year, so 2015. And
Yeah.
he's obviously now a prolific voiceover actor as well. So
Yeah.
hey, people out there listening,
Hey.
become a studio tour guide.
I
It seems
mean,
to work
honestly,
out for a lot of people.
yeah. Theme parks seem to generate a lot of great people. But yeah, I'm happy that that happened. And meeting people at that job you included was one of my favorite parts of why I loved being there. Like, and I miss that environment, like being around that sort of group again in certain ways.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's such a creative hub of
yeah,
people who all have different skills they can bring to the table, and they all want to just create and do cool stuff and talk about things. So it really is
yeah,
a great place to make connections and
yeah,
stuff like that, as is evidenced by us being here.
yeah,
What in your mind? So we're following your career path. You've
yeah.
done that. Agent P. What would you say was like? What do you consider anyway as your first truly big role? And it doesn't necessarily have to be big, but in your
Yeah.
mind, you were like, yes, there it is.
Yeah, that's a good question. Man, I think it changes depending on what era you're talking about. Because like I
Oh,
think
you have ears?
yeah, yeah. I think things feel like when I got Agent P, that felt like the biggest thing in the world ever to
Yeah,
me.
of
So, depending on
course.
what stage it is. As I've gone on, everything has like either or gained importance or become a different like I think the first big thing that was significant was when I did Adam in Voltron Legendary Defender, because that was my first animated project
Yeah.
ever on that. And yeah, I hadn't really done animation on that scale.
Oh, wow.
Um, and
How did you feel going in to record for that?
excited, honestly. I
Oh,
mean, it
that's
was the
good.
first I got the notice from it when I'm trying to remember if this is accurate, and I feel like it is, but when I was heading into Halloween Horror Nights to do a shift. I forget what year. It must have been like 2016 or 17. And my agent called and said, "You got this part for this show. You booked it like I think like a month. It was something like you booked it like a month ago, but we didn't know how to schedule it, and so like they're calling you now to let you know that you got it. But
Oh my gosh.
yeah, and that was so it was so surprising. The timelines are sort of weird, but like the I remember the feeling of walking down the the big hill to get down to the costumes area
Yeah.
for Horror Nights and being like, great, and just not really being able to process it because I had to go in and then do the that night of where whatever scare zone I was in. But that was the first moment where I was like, oh, cool, like my first animation job. This is awesome, and it was cool because it felt like there was some legacy there, right? Even though it was not a very large part in size. When I got in the room, I was like, I was recording for DreamWorks, and the people that were in that room were people that I had known about or really enjoyed, and the show had been out for a while, so that there's some following from that, and just the lead up to being in an animation setting was really cool. So I was nervous, of course, a little bit, but like I was mostly excited to be there in that way, and I got to work with other people in the room, which I doesn't happen very much anymore. You do ensemble recording, but
Yeah, yeah.
other people, yeah, so that was neat. Uh,
Do you work with people in the room now, or is it mostly remote, or is it kind of a mixed bag?
it's kind of a mixed bag. I mean, I tend to do a lot of things on my own, but I have had the fortune of being able to do a bunch of looping for different things.
Yeah.
Like I did looping on season 4 of The Boys, and that's all ensemble recording
Oh,
with
that's cool.
people,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, which that was wild to like, especially with the way the show is, very scarily parallel. I mean, they're not being like they're not being hidden about how
No, no,
parallel
no, no, no.
things are
It's
to each other.
very yeah, it's very political show now at this point.
Yeah, but so it was interesting to play, various sides of that in that world from that standpoint. But
Hmm.
it's cool because that is ensemble stuff because it's all people in a room together doing different cues of crowds or
Yeah, and it's
areas where a lot of
improv as
people are.
well.
It is, yeah. And it's funny because the boys specific because I've done a few things in that regard, but the boys specifically has things you you don't normally do in looping or settings that are, the boys how what they with lengths they go to and the extremes they go to. So
Oh
being
yeah.
able to do sort of those things is fun. But so that's an ensemble version that I do. And then similarly in animation, I did looping on Inside Out 2. So I did get to be with other people in the room in that, and that was cool because that was all of us together kind of creating, different things. What's interesting about that, and I didn't really realize, is we all kind of are auditioning for different things when you're in the room. Like they'll have like 6 people do 1 or 2 lines of a character, and then in post-production they'll decide who fits where.
Yep.
But it's kind of cool to be with other people that are doing that. So for the most part, I'm by myself, but the times where I get to be with other people, it's great, and I still get to do it to a certain degree,
Are
which is
we
nice.
if I sit down with my daughter and we watch Inside Out 2, is there any particular moment where we can be like, there's Isaac?
Yes,
Yay!
there's a moment where Riley's friend, you go into her mind, and I think I'm her anger emotion for that moment. But the one for sure that I know is I am the referee for Riley's hockey game that like gives her a call and like that memory
Yeah.
reverberates. So yeah, that's me. I
Is
did
it
that.
the one the referee that sends her and then she gets the panic attack, or before that?
It is that it's that 28 Anderson tripping. It's that thing that like keeps repeating over and over in her head.
Oh,
Um,
there you
Yeah.
go.
So yeah, that was cool because I did it and then they had me do it again because they changed her jersey number. So I did it like in
Oh,
the first session and then
and
yeah.
you were like,
Uh,
oh, okay, I'll do it
yeah, yeah, sure.
again.
Yeah, exactly. But it was really cool because that was my first Pixar experience and I will never forget it. And I printed out my agent sent the pay like statement, but it had the Pixar logo on it. And I was like, I want to remember this. So
Yeah.
yeah. So that was really, really cool. And then to be able to see it with people I love and see my name, that was really neat. But yeah, so
Ah, that's
that
so
ensemble
cool.
experience was great. And I got to be with people that I really admire, like Mona Marshall was in that session, if you know who she is, a voice actor.
I don't know.
She's been in a lot of stuff. I forget the name of her character, but she's a prominent character on South Park. I know that. And then Carlos Alazraqui was also part of that. which is
Mm,
really cool. He's one of my favorites. I don't know if you know him, but he's the Taco Bell dog Chihuahua. Like that's one of the big things. He's also the voice
amazing.
of he's also the voice of Rocco in Rocco's Modern Life.
Oh yes, I know him. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
He's
yeah.
very prominent on TikTok as well. He does that. He
Yeah,
talks a
yeah.
lot about that. Yeah.
His latest thing is I think he's Scissors and Rock Paper Scissors, I think, the Nick show. I'm pretty sure. Um, so anyway, but yeah, being with people like that has been really a good learning experience.
Yeah.
So,
I love now my friends who do a bunch of looping, like when they get like little like standout stuff like that. Like I think David Chen, who I worked with
oh yeah.
at Universal, yeah, he was helping us when we were doing puppeteering for Mr. Ping, the Kung Fu Panda
Oh, I
character
forgot
that's
you did that. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So
Yeah,
he was voice coaching us with that. And then
yeah,
he was just a random kind of similar to what you did, but in
yeah.
Turning Red
Oh, nice.
because he's Canadian. So he
Yeah.
was the ticket stand guy who's like,
Oh,
okay, four for the studio, eh? You know, he's like four for the show,
yeah.
eh? You know, he
That's
does that.
great.
God, I love that. Yeah, I mean, that's like you say, describing that how they just audition you in the moment. That's exactly how
Yeah.
I got Ms. Marvel because I just went in
Oh,
as
right. Right.
random British voices to be various
Yeah.
soldiers
Yeah.
in this flashback episode, and then they were like, "Oh, we need someone to read this huge newsreel at the beginning," and all three of us went up and read it, and they
Yeah.
just so happened to
That's
pick
so
me,
cool.
and then yeah,
Were
so
you were you the only authentically British person in the session, or they have, or they,
nope, all
okay.
three of us were.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
all
cool.
three of us were, and one actually, Matthew Wolf, he is no stranger to the looping game. I mean, he does like maybe 60 sessions in like a few months
Yeah.
or so. He's crazy. He's working like crazy. So you know, and it was really, at first it was annoying because I was, you know, in the room and they're like, all right, we're going to have you go up one by one. Alistair, why don't you go first? And I was like,
Yeah. Of course.
ah,
Yeah.
okay, like, got to read this thing and pronounce this Indian name, Jawaharlal
Right.
Nehru, and I'll
Right.
never, you know, like, oh gosh, and then just read it through. So I literally locked in. I was like, I
Yeah.
have to do this.
Yeah.
Ah, and yeah, so thankfully it paid off.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, you have so much experience and skill being in places where you have to just go and jump. So I feel like it's tailor made for you to be in a situation like that.
I feel like in those moments, like you know the movie Soul, where he's talking about
Yeah.
how they play, and then he goes into that
Yeah.
zone, and he just
Yeah.
in that moment, I think I literally took a breath, and I was like, I just have to read this. I just have to do it. I
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
there was nothing. I was like, forget. It's almost like this weird block. I'm like, I can't. I almost can't be confident. I don't want to be confident, but I also can't be too nervous. So I just
Right.
completely throw both out, and I just
Yeah.
go, I'm just doing it. Like you got, like you
Yeah.
say, you
Yeah.
go back to that time where it's just you and your brother doing voices
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
So I just go back,
Right.
yeah, I'm just gonna be a kid again and just do this newsreel voice that I know how to
It's
do, and I'm just gonna talk,
yeah.
you know, just go
So
for it.
good. I mean, that's probably why you got it because you were just in that place of like not trying to. Yeah.
Maybe, I guess, or maybe because then I did it a certain way and the other two felt they had to do it differently. I don't know. We'll never
Oh
know.
yeah. Yeah. You know, everybody's brain is activated in such different ways in that setting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then fast forward to today,
Yes.
and you just announced and you just revealed, along with a myriad of some of the best voiceover actors in the world, like, you know, Dante Bosco and all such, who
Yeah.
are voices in Date Everything, where you can, in
Yeah.
fact, date everything from the fireplace to the table to even the feeling of loneliness.
Yeah.
You are the TV. You
Yeah.
are Telly the TV, which, by the way, I love because as a Brit, I call it Telly all the time. I'm like,
Yeah.
turn
Yeah.
off Telly. So you're
Right.
Telly
Right.
the
Right.
TV.
Yeah.
Now obviously that's an original character. So
Yeah.
what is your process for creating an original character like Telly the TV?
Part of it is finding it with the people that are involved. I think that's a huge part of it because they have an idea of what they want to hear and kind of what they want to do. So I credit, the creators of that,
Well,
for
did
that.
you audition or did they just ask you?
Yes, I
Okay.
I did. Yes, I did audition. I don't remember how far away the audition was from the actual product by the time I got there, but when I looked at it, I think I kind of go back to what we were talking about earlier about just kind of throwing away everything and kind of
Yeah.
having an idea. And so I saw it and I sort of try to find inspiration based off either the visual or the description. I don't know if it happened in the room or if it happened in the audition. It probably was in the audition, but my mind went first to Chris Rock in The Fifth Element. I was like, that's kind of
Oh
what
yeah,
this visually is. And so
Chris Rock or Chris Tucker?
Chris Tucker, my bad, yeah, Chris Tucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could just it was similar enough in the way that he was dressed and the way that his presentation was. I was like, so I kind of thought
He
about that sort of.
does have that vibe. Yeah, I can't remember the
Yeah.
character's name, but yeah, that
Yeah,
definitely.
he's got that like crazy hair and he's got like the
Hmm.
microphone on and he kind of talks with that really brash, over the top way, and
Yeah.
he's wearing that one piece suit or that like that outfit he has. And I was like, that kind of vibe is where I feel like Telly will sit. And so I kind of just went with that.
Hmm.
But in the actual space of doing it, it was so cool because, and one of the cool things about Telly, the character, is there is a lot of reference points because it's a television. And so like I got to do a bunch of references and voices that were from a bunch of other things. So it was like the way that Ray Chase, who plays Cyclops in X-Men, he was one of the creators
Yeah.
of this game, working on it for 7 years.
Oh, amazing.
He said it's like a combination between like Robin Williams and Jim Carrey, kind of, because there's like manic energy, but there's a lot of voices and there's a lot happening. So they wrote in a lot of different things, and a lot of different specific references. One of the ones that's not in there, but in the video that I shared, but one of the things you can do is if when Telly introduces himself and the player asks, "Who are you?" his response is, "I am the one who knocks." So if you're a Breaking Bad fan, you know what that is. But things like that. But as far as in general, original character, I think it does come from a lot of my own personal reference points of what I think is funny, but also what I think is what makes sense to me. Like I think even more concrete example would be the pillow pirate in Blaze and the Monster Machines, which was this ended up being a pelican with wheels because it's this show about
Okay.
Blaze and the Monster Machines is this kid's show about anthropomorphic, cars that talk and they
Yeah.
have adventures and things. It's a really cool show. It's on Nick Jr. So these characters kind of come through and there's kind of like a villain of the week kind of deal with some of them. And so
Yeah.
Philip Pirate had no description at that point, all or no picture. All it said was he's a pirate who's obsessed with pillows and he sings was basically the bullet points of this character.
All right. Yeah. So how do you get that? What do you do?
Yeah. Yeah, so I looked at that and I sort of was like, I knew that like most people are probably gonna do kind of a pirate kind of thing. It's because I was like, well, it
Yeah.
says pirate. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to do something that's kind of left field and something that I think is more, I want to give it a little more thought, just to see what else I can come up with. And so because he sings, I said, okay, well, he's a singer, so he probably have a little bit of a different vocal tone. So the combination ended up being Tiny Tim, the singer, and a little bit of Fraser Crane and a little bit of Julia Child was the eventual combination. And so the voice ended up being something like this, and I booked the job. Not anywhere near what a pirate would
Wow.
be, but
Yeah. But you
they
you
kind
must
of
have stood out like crazy.
yeah, and that might have been part of it. I know that the I had so much fun doing it, but also they kind of wrote around what was created there. Like the character sort of molded to that thing that I had come up with. And I know that that sort of is the case a lot with these original characters, which I think is so fun and gives the actor so much license to be imaginative. Like I watched an interview with James Woods recently about Hades, and he said, most people see that character with the big teeth and the hair and everything, and they are like, hey, I'm Hades, good to see you. But James Woods is like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to, hey, Hades, how you doing? Good, great, he kind of that slick car salesman thing, and it was
Yeah.
so away from what most people were doing, but it fit the character so well. So I feel like there's some kind of magic there that if you do something that appeals to your sensibility about what it is from an original standpoint, even
Yeah.
if it feels weird or off base or like maybe it doesn't fit, trying it. That's kind of that's sort of my philosophy with a little bit of how I approach
Kind of
original
like
stuff.
fortune favors the brave, just like
Yeah.
going against the grain, against the curb, doing something unexpected, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it works. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
that's really
It also
cool, man.
doesn't work. There's hundreds of I
Yeah, I'm
haven't
sure,
gotten
I'm sure.
anything.
So, with that in mind, actually, what you're saying,
Yeah. Hmm.
so you sometimes we go through all this process of coming up with an original character, and we'll be like, we take that risk and we do that thing, we think,
Yeah.
yeah, and then you don't get the job. Has
Right.
there has there been a role that you were like did so much work for. You did all this. You're like, I'm gonna get this role, and then you didn't get it. Now, I'm sure whoever's
Yeah.
doing it's fine, but like, it's something that
Oh
sticks in
yeah.
your mind that you're like the one that got away.
Yeah, well, it's it's interesting. I can't I have two examples of this. One, I love the person that ended up getting it, but it was something I got really close on. I was in the final callback to be the voice of Sid the Sloth in the Ice Age movie that came out on Disney Plus. Um, and it went eventually to my friend Jake Green, who's incredible. He is also SVP.
Oh, so it was like, oh, so it was a sound alike for the
It was a sound-alike job. Yeah. Yeah, they were doing a
yeah.
sound-alike for whatever reason. And that happens, if the stars of the movie can't come back or they are schedule conflicts or whatever, they'll have
Oh,
people that can sound like them. Like good example is oh no, it's actually he just does more genie stuff. So Dan Castellaneta came back and did the genie in the second Aladdin sequel, and then Robin Williams came back in the third one. But
yeah.
for whatever reason, that intervening time, they had somebody else. Um, but yeah, so this was a sound alike job, and I got a call back, and all they said was, "We don't really have any notes, just like do the rest of the copying." So I did it and felt really good about it, and didn't end up happening, but
Oh
it's
man.
okay. I
Yeah.
learned, I learned in that instance, and then there's another instance. I can't mention the project. I can't really mention a lot of the specifics, but what I will say is I got cast in a lead role in an animated series that I was ultimately replaced on later on. And it had nothing to
Oh
do with
no.
my talent or anything that was, and that's my agent said, it has nothing to do with you or your performance or your talent or anything. It's just the production had shifted to something else. That was harder because it really did feel like I absorbed it on a personal level. And I was like, what am I going to do now? Like, thought I had this thing, and I
Yeah.
don't all of a sudden. And I had, done some work with it. So I thought things, were progressing. But I learned quickly that this happens to everyone. And that was a really big lesson I learned here is even the people that I really admire. I am friends with Josh Keaton, who is like the voice of young Hercules in the Hercules animated film
Yeah.
and Spider-Man and a ton of stuff. And he was Shiro, the guy that my character Adam was had a relationship with in Voltron. So that's how I initially met him. But I brought up this situation to him. I was like, this happened to me. And he's like, well, recently, there was a recent show where he was also cast as the lead. And, in my mind, I'm like, well, he's Josh Keaton. Like, of course, this is gonna, he's a very respected actor. But he got replaced. And it's like after a few months of working on this show. And
Huh.
so um, I learned in that instance, it happens to everyone, no matter what level you're at. It
Were you
never
replaced
reflects
by
upward.
celebrities?
I think I would no, mine was not a celebrity replacement. I don't know if
Hmm.
Josh's was either. It's hard for me to
Hmm.
remember.
That's so
Um,
interesting then. What is the speaking of this clearly as basically clueless.
yeah,
What do you even know the reasoning?
not really. And sometimes there isn't anything
So
conclusive. I
weird.
mean, there was another thing that I did. My friend who's casting on an anime cast me. He's like, "Hey, I want to bring you onto this project. I'd love you to bring you in for this villain for this." I went in, I did the session, it went well, and I left. And then like a week later, my agent called and said, "Hey, just so you know, the production team listened to this, and your voice doesn't really fit the character the way that they want. So you're going to be all, we're going to replace you for this role." So sometimes it's as simple as your
Oh.
voice just doesn't fit, or there's a production thing, but it's something that's so amorphous that I can't really spend time, focusing
Yeah.
on what
I
that is.
mean,
But yeah,
it happened to me too. Like I don't know if you saw my little story. I can talk about mine because I auditioned and was cast and signed the contract for What If, which you have also been on.
yes,
I was cast to be Loki in What
yeah.
If,
Oh,
and
right, yeah, yeah, I remember this now.
it
Yeah,
was the Howard the Duck episode. It's now since
yeah,
been out.
yeah.
And yeah, I was the ice giant Loki. And then literally, like you say, my agent he just gave me a call and he was like, "It's bad news, unfortunately." He said they're still going to pay you, but they don't need you to come in to record. And he goes, "The only reason I can think of is that they got Tom Hiddleston." And
That's the
then
only, yeah,
the episode came out, and lo and behold, it was Tom Hiddleston. So I don't know what was going on prior to that, where they were like, he
yeah.
can't do it, but then he could. But at least I got my kind of like full circle moment where I actually got to
Yeah.
tell Tom to his face
Yeah.
that he
Great.
was that. And I was like, I
Yeah.
was in What If, but then you were available. And he was like, oh, sorry.
Yeah. Where did that happen?
Where I went to see Much Ado About Nothing in London
Okay.
With Haley Atwell and Tom Hiddleston
Yeah.
in
Oh,
it,
cool. Wow.
and yeah, and so and then I ran down afterwards to sort of do the signing thing, and
Right, 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 of course.
as so as he was come by, they were like no conversations with the actors, but I was like I've got to tell him, so I was just like Tom, I said I have to tell you I'm the voice of Loki when you're not, and he was like sorry. I was like basically when you don't when you're too busy to do Loki, I do the voice for the parks and the crews and promote. And he
Yeah,
goes,
yeah.
and I was like, and what if? But then you were available, and he just went, oh well, oh happy to share him with you as he's like making his way down the line and going away. And I was
Nice.
like, okay, thanks, bye.
But I see. Yeah. Oh, that's kind of cool though. I've never had that direct contact like that. That must have been felt pretty. That's really
It
cool.
was very
Great to see.
fleeting. It
Yeah.
was indeed very fleeting, and you're looking at Tom Hiddleston and his like piercing blue eyes, and I was just
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh my
Yeah. Yeah.
god.
Hours actually went by, but it felt like 2 seconds. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like this moment could last forever.
Yeah.
Um, Now you have done a lot of voice matches, so we're talking about
Yeah.
sadly Sid the Sloth didn't work out, but
That's
you
okay.
are the voice match for Black Panther. You're basically the now the legacy of Chadwick Boseman,
Yeah.
Bishop in X-Men, and the Black Power Ranger as well.
Yeah.
Now, do you? I don't know if it varies role to role, but do you
Yeah.
stay true to the original, or at some point do you just make it your own and deviate slightly?
Well, that's a good question. So for Black Panther, it was trying to stay as true as I could to the initial because like that's who people know and that's what people recognize. So I'm trying to stay. I think it has slightly deviated to something that's kind of my own just because of over time, This is like I think the fourth or fifth year I've done it. And but I try to anchor myself as much as I can in the original.
Yeah.
Bishop was interesting because it's not at all really similar to the original voice. Philip Aiken is the
Oh.
original voice actor, and it's a different tone, it's a different kind of feel. So when I auditioned for it, I did my own take on what I felt Bishop was like, I think is the best way I can describe it. And it ended up being what they liked and what they wanted to have. But that was
Hmm.
interesting because if you listen to me and you listen to Philip, and there's other people in between that have done Bishop as well, but it's all sort of a different thing. But the way that he resonated with me is what came out and what I do in the show now. For some of the other ones, yeah, I think one of the other ones that's been really interesting to do is I did the voice of Mushu in Disney Dreamlight Valley,
That's
um,
right.
which and
That's
that's
another. Was that another voice match? Like,
yeah, there's another voice match, yeah. So
yeah.
staying true, but then what's interesting is in work doing that work, Ben Hoppy, who's one of the heads of Disney character voices, there have been interesting situations where like there are certain phrases that I've never heard Mushu say ever, things that are written.
Mm,
So I have to kind of figure out like doing it to the best of my ability. He keeps me honest with the voice. And then, but he also said something interesting. He's like, at a certain point too, we have to think this is probably how Eddie would do it, but the performance is the king of this situation. So the voice is still important, but like it's kind of riding the dials back and forth. And that's interesting because I kind of have to reset every time at the times that I've done the voice, just because I want to make sure it's staying as accurate as possible,
of
but
course.
also make sure the performance is good because I don't want it to be so robotically perfect that I lose all acting. I want to make sure the acting
Yeah.
is there, but that can sort of sometimes override the voice quality. So it's like constantly mixing and matching.
Did you
But
ever do Donkey at Universal?
yes, for like a few months, not very long, but I did do
Ah, okay.
it. But yeah, when I was there, I did it for a little bit and I got to know those guys, which was fun. Um,
Nice. But yeah,
never,
that's Eddie Murphy.
yeah,
Like I think Mushu and Donkey, I don't know. Would you say they're very different or only slightly different?
they're slightly different. I know that in listening to Eddie Murphy's talking, he doesn't sound like either of those guys. Like those
Right.
characters are a very high energy version of who
Yeah.
he is. Their sort of energetic center as a character, I think, is sort of similar because they're both, the high energy sidekick, sort of Eddie Murphy, very big and everything. But
Yeah.
there is a slight difference, I think. That it was an interesting experience doing that at the park though, because that was from a standpoint of trying to maintain the character, but also the puppeteering element and everything was like
Yeah,
added a whole other edge to, trying
of
not just
course.
maintain. But yeah,
Have you ever done mocap?
yes, I
Mm.
have. Mocap is really great. There's actually a game that just came out recently called Mind's Eye. I started working on that game 4 years ago and had no idea what it was because there was a fake title and
Yeah,
there
of
was,
course. Yeah.
yeah, stuff around it. But yeah, that's my one experience with mocap, and that was crazy because it was the full like, facial capture with the thing and in the room at Rouge Mocap in Santa Monica. And it was cool because they had cameras all around, and then they had a TV screen on the side of the room that had the 3D mock-up of what the set was going to look like. And we were just walking through like, pipes and cardboard things and like stacks
Yeah.
of Apple boxes, but it matched up geographically with what was happening on the screen. I was like, look, there's us, and we're moving around it in a real way. And then there was something else that I did that I'm blanking on now, but it was mocap adjacent, I think. I think it was just facial capture. Because there was another game that I did called Batman Arkham Shadow that I believe, oh yeah, it did have the face capture and the voice capture at the same time, but no suit.
Mm.
Um, and then there's even a lower version of that where it's the headpiece with the microphone so that you can move around and have full expression without being confined to just the one thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so
But
that
mocap's
character
cool.
in Arkham, does he have your face?
He doesn't have my face, but my facial expressions, I think, were tracked because they
Okay.
are they are fairly accurate with how the face moves.
Yeah.
But it wasn't me. It was a different, structure of a guy.
Yeah.
But I remember the lights are very bright. I don't know if you've done this, but it's like because they really need to see everything. So it's like
Yeah.
looking into a headlight for a couple hours.
I've
Um,
not done that. I've done like a face scan thing,
oh yeah, yeah,
but not like a record you acting because I feel like
yeah,
if I were to find a character in a game and I'd be like, that's me, and it didn't have my face, but it was matching the expressions, like you say, I feel like I'd be able to tell immediately because a
yeah.
lot of the times when I'm very like eyebrow heavy, like my
Oh
eyebrows just
yeah,
go up and down a lot like this,
yeah,
kind of crazy.
yeah.
So I feel like if I watch that character, I'd be like, oh no.
Yeah. 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 Well, it's funny in Mind's Eye, the people that I worked with, I was like, oh, that's clearly who is working on this. Like it's clearly their face, it's clearly them. My characters look nothing like me. Like it's weird. I was like, wait. And I played at least the ones that I found, there were two. One of them, yeah, and they both had no resemblance. But it was fascinating because I remember where we were in the room and what was going on and how it all worked. It was cool. I liked it.
I mean, and obviously by this point now, do you have a head count of how many cons you've done? Not like con artist cons, but like comic
Yes.
cons.
Oh, yeah.
How
Let me
many?
tell you about my illegal dealings around the world. Yeah. Uh, I love that they're called cons because, like, but anyway, I don't really know for sure, but I'm assuming it's approaching somewhere it's at least getting close to the 20s now, I think.
Nice.
Because, cons vary in size and shape and form. Like it's not like that it's a convention necessarily, but like I count like a signing event as an event kind of like that. Like we get
Mm,
a smaller one at a comic store for the Power Rangers game, which is cool. But if we're talking about like conventions, like with a big audience and everything, that's probably on a little bit of the lower end. But they happen. My very first one was WonderCon last year, and that was quite an experience. And I'm about to go to another one this weekend called Washington Summer Con, which I've never been to, but it's in Seattle, and we're going to be out there with 12 X-Men cast members, including
nice.
George Buza, who I've never met, who plays Beast. So I'm going to bring all my stuff for him to sign because I want to make sure that I have the full cast autograph at some point. So I'm trying to collect everybody. And
Yeah,
it's rough because
he's an OG X-Men, right?
he's an OG. A lot of them are OGs, which is great. Like he's an OG. Allison Seeley Smith, original Storm, uh,
Rogue.
Rogue, yeah, Lenore, Adrian is the original Nightcrawler. Cal
Right.
Dodd, the original Wolverine.
That's right.
So that's been. Oh, and we also have the other Allison, Allison Court, who is the original Jubilee, and she's back in the show as another role.
Nice.
Uh, and the thing that I geeked out about that I didn't realize, but she is the clown from the Big Comfy Couch. Do you remember that show? Like way back in the 90s as a kid. You ever watch that?
I guess maybe that never came to the UK. The big
Maybe it
comfy
didn't.
couch?
Yeah, it might have been just a US thing, but there was a fairly
Ah.
popular kids show where it was like this girl who was dressed kind of like a clown. She had like a clown doll version of herself and a giant couch, and she would play games and like she would be on.
The imagery is somewhere floating in my head, but
Yeah,
I really can't recall the show. So you're going to bring a
famously
big
she.
comfy couch for her to sign?
Yeah, she
What?
doesn't. No, yeah. I remember the couch. I remember the doll, and I remember her being on a giant clock. Like she would use her arms and legs to create like the time and stuff. But she's in
Okay,
the cast also as an original cast member, which is pretty great.
there you
Um,
go. The
so we
people
have a
you
lot.
meet, I mean, man,
I know.
it's crazy. Yeah, recently
Yeah.
I got to meet like well your fellow ex hero AJ Lacasio,
Oh yeah.
the other fellow AJ, yeah,
Yes.
whose career I was dipping in and out of actually ever since he did Marty McFly, because I played that
Oh
game and I
right.
was like, this
Yeah.
Marty sounds amazing, and then I saw a
Yeah.
little behind the scenes. So and then when I did a project with him, I was obviously like, AJ, I want to, thank you so much, blah blah blah. You do great. And
Yeah.
but yeah, when you see him, just give him a prod from me, because I keep
I will.
messaging him and he keeps like, yeah, get back to me and so so. And he's like,
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to pin
Well.
him down as much as I was trying
Yeah.
to pin you down for this. But yeah,
Well, he'll be at the convention with me, so he'll have to listen.
there you go. Yes,
Usually we
yes.
sit next to each other, so
There you go.
we
Tell him the
all
other
ask.
AJ is after him.
Yes.
And I finally got to talk to Sam Witwer, who
Oh,
is very
really?
prominent in the VO world. I should ask him to maybe do this. He's very busy,
Yeah.
I know, to do this at some point. But yeah. But again, I got to talk to him, just geek out about Smallville. 'Cause-
That's great. That's really cool.
yeah, and he's such a cool guy. He was so down to
Yeah.
earth and just lovely in general to talk to.
Yeah.
Well, I know because like NDAs are always the bane of the existence for any of these
Always.
interviews. Is there anything at all that you can talk about, that you have coming up or in the pipes?
Yes, there is. So X-Men season two is
Hooray! And you're
roughly
in
a
it, I
year.
assume.
Yes, it's roughly a year away. So I don't know where.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm
Yeah.
so glad, because yeah, it did leave on quite a cliffhanger.
Yeah, exactly.
For
Yeah.
anyone who hasn't seen season one, spoilers. But
Yeah.
I guess Apocalypse is going to
Yeah.
be in it. The original Egyptian man. I can't remember his name.
Yeah. I'm not
I
great with this.
I was about to say Anuk-Sunamun, and I was like, nope, that's the
Yeah.
mummy.
Yeah.
That's the woman from the mummy. That's
Relevant
wrong.
though. Relevant. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that was all happening, and t yeah, so a lot of time stuff was happening. Is I would say no, but is AJ Lacasio returning?
I can I can't say anything more about the
No,
show.
I would say
Yeah.
I wouldn't assume so. His
Yeah.
character died in season one. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
spoilers. But
Yeah.
all right, anything else? X-Men season two.
Eyes of Wakanda, which is coming out in August.
What is Eyes of Wakanda?
It's a brand new show that is directed by this great guy named Todd Harris, and it is a really gorgeously animated. It looks like a watercolor mixed with the hand-drawn animation. That's the best way I can explain it. But it's a four-part miniseries, sort of in a it's a story removed from the Black Panther central line. So it's like Wakanda, like outside of it. It's like taking like the sidestep away
Yeah,
from the Black Panther direct story. I can't say what role I am yet, but it's a really cool cast of various people that I really admire. Like Anika Noni Rose is in it. My friend Zeke Alton is in
wow,
it. Um,
nice.
yeah, I listed a bunch of it. It's great, and I'm excited because a pretty there's a pretty excited buzz around the show.
Yeah,
But August 6th is when that premieres, and I think I'm in the first of the four. I can't remember the order of things, but that's coming out.
nice.
Um, and we talked about Date Everything already. Yeah, and other than that, it is all locked up
Yeah, yeah,
right
yeah, of
now.
course. No,
Yeah.
that's absolutely fine.
Um, but
Okay,
yeah.
so Isaac Wakanda, I'm assuming is animated. Is it do you
Yes.
know, is it animated in the style of What If? Is it that kind of thing, or?
It it sort of bridges into that a little bit, but I would say it kind of got its own look. I think
Mm,
that's maybe the closest thing to what Marvel has done so far animation wise that it looks like, but it still feels there's a scope to it. There's a little bit
yeah.
from what If has done, but it's sort of in that similar area. Yeah.
By the way, I don't know if you noticed or cared, but and this is predominantly for the people watching this on YouTube and TikTok, not so much the
Yeah.
podcast. But the LED lights behind me, I always change them to to the color to represent like one of the most prominent roles. So I think for
Oh, that's awesome.
Andrew Russell, I changed it to blue for Luca.
Yeah.
Taylor Victor, I changed it to yellow for her Chloe Bourgeois, and for you, of course, I
Oh, that's
changed it to that kinetic purple energy for Black Panther. So
yo. Thank you. I appreciate it. And also
yes.
thank you because I still have the LED lights you gave me. I lined remember my movie collection back here. It's
Oh,
still, yeah, yeah.
I
It's
forgot
not
I
on
gave
right.
you those.
Yeah. Well, what I did is I lined the shelf and then I hooked up the projector up there, the 8 millimeter projectors. So when I say to my home assistant, which I won't say
Yeah,
the name, 'cause I don't want to, but to turn on the movie vault, that turns on, the projector comes on. It's this like little movie. But your LEDs really make a difference of how it all looks.
that's so
Yeah.
cool. I love shtick like that. Like I think
Yeah.
I told someone here I'm going to start working with in their recording studio for audiobooks and such.
Yeah.
They were like, we need you to tell us about your home setup as well, just in case kind of thing.
Right.
And I was like, so I was like, okay, I've got this mic, I've got this preamp, I've got this whole situation, plus really cool LEDs, which don't do anything for the sound, but they really set the mood.
Yeah. They're cool. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're really
Yeah.
cool. So,
Yeah.
it's really part of it, right? Plus
Yeah.
this,
It is.
you can't really
Yeah.
see because it's all washed out, but the neon sign as well that Naomi got me that says
Oh, that's cool.
it says AJ's VO studio. But yeah,
Oh,
for
that's
some reason it's
awesome.
always really blown out in the YouTube. But if I
Oh.
do this with my
Oh, I
hands,
can.
you
Yeah.
can
Oh,
kind of
I
see
see it. Yeah. 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 Okay.
it.
Nice. I believe you.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what was it like becoming the voice of Black Panther after the untimely death of Chadwick Boseman?
It was humbling because I got to step into it in a way that I wasn't expecting. And what I mean by that is I worked with Beth McGuire, who's the dialect coach for the films. So she was very close with Chadwick Boseman and the rest of the cast, obviously. And so I got to hear like, stories about that and what her relationship was with the movie and how special that was. And in our training, we sort of landed on different phrases that would be emotional jumping off points for the character
Hmm.
and different modes and different, volumes and things. And we were choosing the battle cry uh, line to jump off from. And the one that we landed on was the part where he says, I never yielded. And as you can see, I'm not dead, from the part of the movie where he's, about to fight Killmonger again.
Yeah.
And when we decided on that, it was cool because I mean, this part wasn't cool, but it was very meaningful. She stepped off screen. I didn't know why. And then she came back and she was crying. And she said, "You have to understand that this isn't just a line from the movie for Black Panther's, redemption. It's Chadwick just speaking truthfully and saying, 'I never yielded, and as you can see, I'm not dead.'" And because of that, in because of that inner understanding of that line, it made the whole rest of the character make sense. I
Yeah.
didn't really get it until that point, but I understood like, and I understood what legacy meant and what power meant and what perseverance meant and all these things and how they connected to Black Panther, the character. And then it even better fueled my session thereafter to do it for the park because I had that to kind of build me up to a place of like this. It was a different kind of mental space for the importance of what I was doing. And I've never forgotten that. And I really try to take that with me into other roles because that sort of connection is something that I think is valuable for, and it doesn't, you don't quite get that with everything that you do. And so whenever I can find something like that, I try to make sure that there's a connective point to that kind of feeling. Because like if I can get that kind of understanding for a character with that,
Yeah.
I try to bring that forward with the other characters as I do because I want to be that involved and that invested. But that was so meaningful to have that direct line to Chadwick
Of
without, I
course.
didn't know that I would get that.
And
So
how powerful as well to have the line and and as you can see, I'm not dead. Like, oh,
yeah,
that's a gut punch right there.
yeah, yeah,
And yeah, we somewhat vicariously worked together on
yeah, right.
on that promo for
Yeah,
the Disney Destiny
yeah, I
cruise
think you're
ship.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Loki is trying to make the statue a Loki statue. It's a Black Panther statue.
Right.
And then you just come on with your Wakanda forever, and that's
Yeah,
it. You just
yeah.
one. I'm one punched out by you, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah. Going back to singing in your chair and holding the lines of time.
That's right. I think it was that one I did with some of it I did wearing the horns that
Did you
those
really?
horns that you
Those,
have. Yeah,
yeah. Where did you get
only
those, by the way?
because I got those in Florida.
Okay.
Because they were hang on, I'm gonna do this for the YouTube
Yeah,
people.
yeah. Yeah,
Um
yeah. Oh, yeah.
because in the parks they're just like the color gold, but I was like
Yeah.
no, no, no. So I got chrome metallic gold and
Oh,
spray
wow.
spray painted the whole thing, so it's like
It looks
l-
great.
it's legit gold and shiny. And then in order to like actually transport it, you can remove the horn.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, so I was like, oh, I have to have, so this is the Ragnarok horns.
Yeah.
But because I told them, and then they called my bluff, because I was recording one for, I think it was Disney Hong Kong. And I said,
Okay.
guys, if you have me come in and do Loki again, I'm legit, I'm straight up wearing the horns. And they were like, we're going to hold you to that. So when they booked me again, I packed these in my bag and I was like, listen, look what I've got.
Yeah. That's great.
All right. Well, Isaac Robinson Smith, where can the people find you? Where can we follow you? Where can we keep up to date with all your happenings and goings on?
Mostly Instagram. So IRS Voices is my handle there. And
Not
Isaac
to be
Robinson
confused
Smith.
with the tax revenue
Yeah.
service.
No, please confuse it so I get more money. Um,
IRS Voices, the
yeah.
voice for your tax service. IRS
Yeah.
Voices on Instagram.
And then Isaac Robinson Smith on Facebook. Not really on X anymore. I occasionally post there, but mostly Instagram and
No.
Facebook is the place to
Okay.
find me. And
You're not
LinkedIn.
big on TikTok?
No, I don't even have one.
Boo. Well, then you
I
wouldn't know
know.
about any of this. Yeah, because
Yeah,
my main platform is TikTok.
nice.
But yeah, so yeah, it'll be on TikTok and then Instagram. Great. But yes, follow Isaac Robinson Smith, IRS Voices on Instagram. And all right. Now at this point, Isaac, I'm going to give you. I want you to pick one character
Okay.
to do a like a fond farewell for us. It can be whoever you want. It could be Bishop. It could be Black Panther. Whoever you want.
My one thing to tell you is I hope you stay true to yourself and never ever give up. Wakanda forever.
Oh, it's so good. So good. Oh my gosh. It's hard not to hear that voice. It, it's hard to hear that voice and not get like emotional.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those not to be like a downer at the end of the episode, but it's one of those things where you always remember where you were when I found that out.
Oh,
I couldn't
yeah.
remember.
Yep.
I can't. Yeah, it's crazy. Well, thank you so much for that, Isaac. You're phenomenal
Sure.
what you do. Keep being great. Keep being awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Isaac Robinson Smith is the actor behind the voice. So now, if you didn't know before, now you do. Thank you so much, Isaac. Have a good one, my friend.